one of the things that we know about coal is that there was based not only on slavery early on in Illinois, but also that when they started to be a union to address the grievances that coal miners had, we saw some of the worst use of race to divide people. And as I recall, there were a number of blacks who were brought in to mine coal and ended up getting burned up in the boxcars. Do you know any of that history?
Sure. You know, it's very funny, Michael. Why I came to the Heartland Cafe the first time was I had been invited to come to Chicago to speak in February for Black History Month. And they called me back and said, Jeff, you know, you wrote that book about hillbillies down there. Can you come in April? You can't come in for Black History Month. And I said, did you know that Black History Month comes from coal miners in Appalachia? The Carter Woodson was a coal miner in West Virginia, and there he began to hear the stories of black coal miners. I mean, where do you think John Henry was pounding those wells but from Appalachia? Where do you think Nina Simone comes from? Where do you think Bessie Smith comes from? And yet they wouldn't invite me to Chicago. They didn't realize that Carter Woodson was the founder of Black History Month. And then I came and began to talk. I began to do my research on coal mining in Illinois, and we don't know. Barack Obama doesn't know that in 1818, our Constitution of Illinois said there should be no slavery in Illinois. We're great emancipationists, except for one little clause. Our biggest industry, which was the salt wells, which were generated by coal mining, that in fact in 1818 we had legal slaves digging coal in Illinois. It was legal to have slavery. And it was in my county, down in Saline County, that the first truckload of coal to go onto the Mississippi River was in 1810 by a black slave named Peter Boone. And in every single history book, they just talk about Mr. Boone's black man. They never actually refer to him as a slave, but he's right there in the slave schedules. That Illinois, just like the beginning of the coal industry, which goes back to the 1750s, is based on African slave labor. It was based on the removal of indigenous people, and that's why we moved into Illinois, which is to get the coal resources under Thomas Jefferson. That 250 years later, this bloody legacy is what we're dealing with right now under the Obama administration.
So we had two progressive liberal senators, Durbin and Obama, and now one of them is the president. We all have high hopes. We still have real high hopes. But what do you think is the problem with both the president and his buddy, the senator from Illinois, around coal?
You know,
is it just too much money involved, too much the job question? Why do you think that I mean, there's plenty of smart people around Obama, and he must be hearing it. I know you had tried to get to him around the coal issue. Do you know of any coal activists who've gotten his ear? What are our hopes around Obama and coal, and what are the problems with him getting the message?
You know, I think President Obama is an amazing man. I voted for him. The first Democrat I voted for in my life. And I think he truly wants to take on the coal issue. I think he has great, well-intentioned meetings. He told us during the campaign we got to find another way to get coal without blowing up our mountains. But the problem is these folks are beholden to the coal industry. Illinois is. It transcends politics. You know, it's more about geography. And so they've done an amazing thing. Think about it. Our president's going to double our renewable energy sources within the first 3 years. He's provided $15 billion a year in alternative renewable investment. He has this incredible plan for renewable energy, and that's really what's going to get us off coal. The EPA announced that finally we're going to be regulating carbon emissions. You know, this is a huge leap. And so already the Obama administration has done more than any other administration to stop coal. But it's not enough. It's not enough. There's not that sense of urgency to stop mountaintop removal, which really is the most egregious human rights violation in our nation. That little communities in West Virginia called Printer, West Virginia, 97% of the people have gallbladder disease because of the coal waste has gone into their water supply. And yet, yesterday, the EPA said it's environmentally responsible. And so there's not that sense of urgency. There's this sense of we're going to try to maybe kind of agonizingly, slowly, we hope, work it out. And I think it's up to us from the coal fields of Chicago, you all who are burning our coal.
We burn a lot of coal.
To say we have to have this sense of urgency and to move now, not to mention just the whole climate change issue. And I think that's what's going to push the Obama administration is not that we're going to work it out as a compromise. I think he's desperately trying to bring everybody on board. We can't compromise on this stuff. You don't compromise when people are dying. You don't compromise a human rights violation. You stop it and you find some alternative. And I think that's what we have to do is keep pushing. Pushing.
All right, how are we going to deal with Appalachia? And let's talk about West Virginia. It's a state that didn't support Obama in the primary. Did West Virginia actually go for the Democrats in the big election?
No,
they didn't.
No.
And so I'm wondering what the dynamic is of the politics of West Virginia, the power of coal to mitigate against a quicker path to real transformation in our energy. And I also want you to tell us a little bit about your friend who is doing some wind farm stuff down in Appalachia and the opportunity that really awaits us there.
Right. It really comes down to an issue of jobs. Just like Southern Illinois, you all here in Chicago have treated Southern Illinois like a vassal colony since 1904. When your granddaddy, Michael James, came down to my Saline County and you bought up 90% of our mineral rights.
My granddaddy never came this
far.
Yes,
you have. You got to admit.
He went to Missouri.
You're part of this problem. And that's the problem is places like Appalachia, places like Southern Illinois have been treated like
I thought the first guest was the guy who was going to roast me.
I tell you. You're part of the problem, man. You are part of the problem. We're going to help you.
I'm up for it. I need transformation.
We got this 10-step, to get the Heartland Cafe off
coal, yeah.
Coffee and coal.
I'm going to have a windmill on the roof. Man of La Mancha, here we come.
But it comes down to jobs. We have a single industry economy down in Southern Illinois. It's boom or bust. And, of course, don't tell anybody. The coal industry in Illinois peaked in 1918. That's before you were even born, young man. And for the last 100 years, it's been going down, but we're still bringing it back. And the same thing in Appalachia. We had 100,000 people employed when you were born in coal mining. Today, there's only 20,000 people employed in coal mining, because it's heavily mechanized. When you use mountaintop removal, you don't need jobs. And so we have the highest poverty rates in the areas that were bringing out the most money of coal. West Virginia and Appalachia is super rich, but the wealth is being trucked out. So we need green jobs. We need green jobs, and Van Jones and the Obama administration to do the green jobs exactly where ground zero of the energy movement is, and that is in the coal fields. Because as long as we say green jobs for California, green jobs for Wisconsin, green jobs for Missouri, and you, Appalachia and Southern Illinois, get more coal, we're still going to be stuck to this stranglehold. Now, in Coal River Mountain, amazing mountain, this is what defines Appalachia's Coal River Mountain. There's only one mountain left. It's all been strip mined. Massive strip mines have destroyed it. And this one mountain, we've created an amazing proposal to have an industrial wind farm that would create more revenues, more jobs, and more energy than the mountaintop removal. It's called the Coal River Wind Project. Just go to coalriverwind.org. And yet, this afternoon at 4 o'clock, they're going to be blowing up that mountain. And we have an amazing amount of activists down there. Mike Roselle, who's who founded Earth First, is down there. Our idea is we have to somehow stop and save Coal River Mountain, because this could be the turning point to show that if through industrial wind, through alternatives, through biomass, through manufacturing plants to do windmills and whatnot, we can change Appalachia. We can change Southern Illinois. We can come into the 21st century. But it means we have to stop this incredible practice of strip mining.